These stories are taken from Reddit with permission. If you've had an encounter you'd like me to share, email me at jttosstories@gmail.com. Story 1. Date, June or July 1992 at 5 p.m. Location, Southern Maryland. It was evening, and my family and I were coming back from Chesapeake Beach, Maryland, from having dinner with my brother, mom, and dad. I was 15 or 16, and in the back right passenger seat, chilling with my brother. Riding along, I'm just looking out the window, and there's the little road that merges onto the main road on the left. So as we merge, we pick up a little speed. We are going maybe 25 to 30 miles per hour, and you have to cross this little bridge, and it's really bumpy. So we slowed even more to maybe 20 miles per hour. Once we did that, I look up ahead, and about 75 yards ahead, I see something standing on the wood edge off to the right a little, but it was exactly at the edge of the woods. It had both arms on a tree just standing there, meaning its right arm was on a tree about shoulder height, and its left arm was on a tree about shoulder height. So its arms were basically spread out with its hands on the trees. It was about 7 feet tall, maybe even taller. Had a wolf-looking face, only larger, like a dire wolf from Game of Thrones. It had really broad shoulders, very muscular arms, a barrel chest, and it narrowed down the rest of the way down to the abdominal area. It was dark brown, and the hair was medium length. I didn't get a great look at the legs, because it locked eyes with me. I knew that it saw me, and it knew that I saw it. I saw it a good distance up ahead, and was like, what is standing on the wood edge? Soon as I said that to myself, I locked eyes with it. I saw it for a good 10 to 15 seconds, because of how far up ahead I first noticed it moving around, and how slowly we were traveling. Its eyes followed mine the entire time. It took my breath when I first realized what I was looking at, and my first thought was, gosh, that thing is ugly. It had very pointy features, and it didn't look like a Bigfoot, but like an actual werewolf. A lot of people call it Dogman, but I'm more inclined to say this was an actual wolf man. I said out loud to my family, did you guys see that thing? Obviously, they were like, see what? Another thing. This was in southern Maryland, where there are no bears or other large animals. But I asked my family over and over if they saw it, and they started getting annoyed with me. I told people over the years, but I was only ridiculed and teased about it, so I stopped. So that was my encounter. My family still doesn't believe me either, and most other people think I'm crazy or lying, so I very rarely tell anyone about it. But it was real. It was there. I just want to know the W's of the creature. Where, what, why. Story 2. I was hiking up in the Cascades in Oregon. I was in a more remote area of the range. On the 6th or 7th day on the trail, the hair on the back of my neck was starting to stand up. I chalked it up to being a mountain lion in the area. But the weird thing was, the uneasy feeling never left. That night is when I heard the howling. It wasn't wolves or bears or any other animal that I'd ever heard. The closest thing I could relate it to is the noises that apes and monkeys make. This persisted for the next few nights. Eventually, things started rummaging through my campsite. Naturally, I assumed it was a bear or some raccoons. But then, on the 11th day, I woke up, and my food bag was removed from the tree. Something had cut the line through. All my food was gone. I decided to keep pushing. I had 4 days left till the end of the trail. I'm familiar with what I can and can't eat in the area, and I could always fish for food. The same nightly activities occurred, and on the 13th night, something started throwing rocks at my tent. For some reason, I lost it. I screamed into the darkness for whatever it was to leave me alone, hoping it was just some person messing with me, and maybe they'd scream out, "Sorry, mate," or something. Instead, it grew quiet for the first time in nights. Nothing could be heard. Then a scream louder and more vicious than any other night cut through. Then nothing, complete and utter silence again. Despite it being quiet, I wasn't able to sleep that night. I just waited. The next day, I continued my hike, dead tired, just wanting to get out. The hair on the back of my neck still standing, the forest still quiet. I felt like I was being hunted. Towards the end of the day, I had sat down to rest before pushing a few more miles when I saw it. Something tall and large, bigger than any man or any animal I'd ever seen, sliding through the forest, not making a noise. I yelled at it, it turned to look at me. I never got a good look at it through the trees and the brush, and it was dark, but I knew that whatever it was causing this. I threw a rock at it and pulled my knife. This thing just kept staring at me. I don't know what kicked in, but I no longer felt scared. I felt angry. I ran at the thing. It ran from me, and I chased it into the woods. It had long strides and easily outpaced me, but I continued the chase. After several minutes, I gave up and collapsed in exhaustion. I rested for a bit before backtracking my way back to my backpack and resting area. I was tired and made camp there. Another night of silence. When I woke up the next day, I had about 10 miles till I was out. Exhausted, hungry, mentally drained, I made my way out. As I got closer and closer to the end of the trail, the typical forest noises returned. Birds, bugs, mice running through the undergrowth. All these noises slowly returned. I no longer had this feeling of unease. I got to trail's end, sat in my car, and cried. To this day, I still pass it off as someone just messing with me. But the way that thing moved in the forest, I just don't know. I told the park ranger about it, and he jokingly said they have a bunch of Bigfoot sightings in the area, but most likely it was a local messing with me or my own imagination. I do a lot of long hikes, but those 15 days were by far the worst. Hopefully someone will see this and can give advice of anything that will help, but I keep hearing howls and human-like whumps near where I'm camping in Utah. There's been a lot of strange activity, such as a strange smell around the tent, like a dirty wild animal, noises, and even items being thrown and damaged. I'm convinced it's not a bear, and so are my friends, but we are unsure on what to do, as the activity seems to be more frequent and sort of aggressive. The dogs act up by barking and whimpering on certain nights, as if there were a larger animal nearby. There's also the occasional feeling that we're being watched at during the night, and some of us have had rocks thrown at us whilst out walking down between two hills, kind of making a small canyon by a gorge. We have flattened the soil where we think it is at night, hoping to get tracks, but we had nothing so far. We have read about bears and came to the conclusion that a bear is not what it is, although it could be nothing. But I'm certain something ain't right about whatever's out there.